Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries this evening. I hope you're doing well. And as promoted, as previewed, tonight is about the interiors of all of the clubs in LA, pretty much in 1981. That was my year. We all know why. Okay, so I thought the best thing to do, first of all, I'm going to slip and slide a little bit because I have so many memories with these clubs that I want to tell you what they were like inside, but there are concomitant stories to a couple of these clubs, big time. Anyway, so I thought I'd split them up to like bad, mediocre, and great. And there's really not too many on the bad and mediocre side, but there were a lot on the great side. So that's the I'm gonna whip through it because I'm trying to keep this under 15 minutes, but this is a lot of stuff. So on the bad side for me, basically I've been to every club in '81 basically that there was to go to. Don't ask me why I was being led into these places. I have no idea, you guys. I swear my hand up. I made it into all these places. I was 14. I don't know why. I have no idea why. 1981. Okay, so on the bad side, there was a place called Seven Seas. It used to be a strip joint called Seven Seas. And as certain things tend to do in that age, morphed into clubs. Well, so Seven Seas from a strip club became like a club. And it was just, ugh. I went there once, it's it smelled like sushi and vomit and liquor. So it was not my favorite place. The interior looked like it was like Polynesian, falling apart. It was really nothing. It was dark. There was nothing. Now on what would be considered again the bad side, but it's bad good for me because I spent time down there. It's probably the scuzziest bar that of this time that had hardcore bands playing it. I mean, a lot of underground hardcore bands, punk bands played it at this place. And it was called Al's Bar. It was downtown, like easty of downtown, just nestled in this nothing little area. And it was a bar. And it was like just a plain old like dive bar, just white, nothing. It was a nothing place. But as with many of these places, what drew me was the music. I mean, yeah, the scene, I was getting into all this shit at 14, but it was also very much about the bands, not the clubs. So the interior of Al's Bar, like I said, was complete dive, like all but spray painted on the inside. A little corner stage, not very big, but I've seen a lot of pictures from a lot of little concerts at Al's Bar. So that's the bad side. Mediocre side would be, I guess, places that, were, places I went, but, and that would, again, like, I guess on the top of that list, like not the worst, would be Raji's. Raji's was popular, again, had bands play at it, and it was like way down on Sunset, and it just felt like like a lobby to an apartment building. It was about like that. If you stripped it of its furniture, it kind of felt like you were in the lobby of some apartment, like old apartment building. It was not very big. Like the crowds were like, I mean, there was really no stage. It was just like an area. I mean, there was a stage, but you had to be so close. But I saw Screaming Jay Hawkins, really bizarre acts there. And it was what it was. There was Club Lingerie. Club Lingerie took over a space that used to be called Sold Out. Soul apostrophe S, a D, not sold out like I sell it, but sold like I'm so out on soul music and whatever. Then after that was in the 70s or whatever. Yeah, this is 81. Then there was Club Lingerie. Club Lingerie was okay. It felt like a restaurant. Like, again, these places felt like cleared out things, cleared out whatevers. So lingerie, was set up so much like a restaurant that it kind of, you go in, there's like the thing in front of you and look down, and that's where the tables would be, the bars at the end. There's a payphone and there's like a big screen. They would play like movies and stuff, in addition to music and bands and whatever. Not my favorite place. And then when it petered out, it went to another place, which I'll tell you about. So I'll tell you about that right now. So there's a club called Flippers. It was a roller disco. I remember it, believe it, how old I am. I remember it was called La Cienega Lanes. It was a bowling alley. And then when disco hit, it's very famous. Google it, Flippers, with two P's. And it was like the frigging place for disco, roller disco. You guys, I had my 13th birthday at Flippers. There was a huge painting of a Carmen Miranda at the front of the roller rink. And there was VIP, everything was kind of black around the edges, and there was like some VIP room, like Eddie Murphy or whoever I heard go in there. It's just a lift. It was like an ice skating rink. It's kind of set up like an ice skating rink, and it used to be a bowling alley, so that kind of, dimensionally kind of makes sense. But so what would happen is when Club Lingerie closed, like sorta, see, some of these places would be like hosted nights or whatever. Well, Lingerie kind of took over Flippers. And then it got really, to me, like, because I knew Flippers from my 13th birthday in the middle of disco, 1978, best year of my life. Very hard year, but so it turning into this like evenings of lingerie, or I think lingerie like took it over kind of and made it their club. It was weird, but it wasn't weird to me, of course, because I had my 13th birthday there. So those are really on the, there's a place called Brave Dog. It was like just a sliver of a place downtown, next to one of the great side ones. Really nothing of a place, really nothing. Okay, on the great side, we have, of course, the Hollywood Palladium. Google it again. I mean, it's like Xanadu, it's like an amazing, swirly kind of beautiful architecture. It's very big inside, like really big, like, ballroom dancing kind of set up, with like 2 tiers of balcony. Again, kind of like a restaurant-y thing, but this beautiful swooping sort of like future, not like deco-y, but not really, with staircases coming down from those floors down into where you walk. I actually shot a commercial there. I forgot. It was a Manhattan Transfer, did the music for it, and it was like, I think, I want to say Coca-Cola or something, I don't know. And I asked for their autograph. I really liked Manhattan Transfer because I saw them at the Roxy. That I'm not including because, you can Google that, and it was a small club, whatever. It was great, but whatever. So the Palladium was big acts, because it was the Palladium, the Hollywood Palladium. So you got big acts. I saw Grace Jones there, of course, again, 81. That video that you always see, bluey, with like the Liberty Tango and like the clones, the Grace Jones clones. Well, I was at that concert. It's all from that concert, and I was there. Whoa. Anyway, so that's the interior of the Palladium, just the Ritz of clubs. Not really a club. I don't know what you would call it, concert hall? Anyway, then there was Perkins Palace. Perkins Palace got a lot of good bands, but it was all the way in Pasadena. So it was this great old, good God, like from the turn of the century building, like movie theater. Yeah, I think it was like a movie theater kind of at one point because it became full tilt bands. Big place, but Pasadena, such a trek. And there was nothing in Pasadena at that time. It was like thrift stores. So yeah, I saw Susie and the Banshees there. Adam Ant played there, and again, and the press would be there like, oh look, everybody saw punk or new wave or whatever. So that was Perkins Palace. Then another place that it was my stomping ground with a lot of that naughtiness ending up in downtown LA was a place called the Atomic Cafe. Very, 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 very small little, like you can imagine, like the smallest little 50s diner on a corner, like barely fit, like, I don't know, 8 people, 10 people, 3 or 4 booths on the left, a couple small tables. Nobody ordered the food, like, I don't know, chow mein, whatever. Or, yeah, ooh. Coffee was all I basically lived on coffee. So it was the place to be. They had Nina Hagen on the jukebox. I was in heaven, and it was also a place to go after you clubbed because Atomic Cafe was 24 hours. So yeah, that was a place to be downtown if you were anywhere near back down there. Coming back into Hollywood, there's a bar called the Firefly. That was kind of cool too because they would throw like lighter fluid down the bar and then light it on fire. So the Firefly. So let's get into where I spent most of my time at 14. Not that I lived there because it was a concert type place. So, but it is infamous. Google it. It has to do with the owner. I'm not going to go into it, but the owner of the Starwood, eventually after it was PJ's in the 60s. Um, it was a very famous, notorious guy, and he was involved in what's called the Wonderland murders up in Laurel Canyon. Again, you got to Google it. So he owned this corrupt, amazing, weird, scenario. Owned the Starwood. Everybody's played the Starwood. Blondie, AC/DC, Van Halen. I mean, you name it, they played the Starwood, and it was also very infamous. Especially, I'm in '81. This is still I mean, like Blondie played there in '78, so, and it was still raging. So I spent a lot of time at the Starwood. Now, the Starwood is like you basically have a parking lot on the left and a building on the right. Again, the building is a nothing. You go in, I'll tell you, but it's like a studio, like somebody's like photography studio, like this, whatever, nondescript would be the word. And there was the VIP entrance in the front, which was right by the sidewalk. It was on Santa Monica Boulevard. And that was the VIP entrance you could step right in from the parking lot, whatever. Then the general public, me, had to go through this general entrance, was down the parking lot or to the right with a regular old like cash door. And then you get in, and again, it's plain-orama. I mean, there's like no aesthetic to the Starwood at all. Just like the other one I mentioned. But this was nothing. I mean, this was really, the Starwood was like a big room, like a big like photography studio room with a stage. Nice stage though. I liked it. Corner stage. So I spent a lot of time at the Starwood because, well, I was really punk at that time. I know it's hard to believe, Pretty Little Sean, and let's not get into the age coinciding with other things. But I was pretty, what I thought was considered hardcore punk for my size, my age, whatever. So I would go to the Starwood. Most of the bands I would see there, I mean, a lot, like X, Suburban Lawns, Go-Go's. I saw the Go-Go's play at the Starwood when they were nothing. I didn't know her, but I hung out a little bit with Belinda Carlisle at the premiere of Decline of Western Civilization, which was at a theater on Hollywood Boulevard, and they blocked the street with riot police because they thought all those punk rockers would go crazy, and Daryl Gates decided that movie was never to be shown in Los Angeles again. I digress. So there's Starwood. Man, it was the bands that they had at Starwood. You knew it was a nothing place. And here I am at 14, and they're like smoking cigarettes. Like, I don't, like, that's all I remember, smoking cigarettes. I don't even remember that. But I remember the bands. The bands at the Starwood were the thing. I mean, that's the whole reason you went there, was plain-orama in some, it was a famous disco like, PJ's, but it was nothing. It was just big room. And so I'm there, I go for the bands, X, like I'm into, Fear. One night I went to see Fear, a hardcore punk band. And we were trick-or-treating, me and my girlfriend and a couple of my best friends. And it was Halloween. And so we went trick-or-treating, all, decked out or whatever, around the neighborhood of the Starwood, and got candy and ate it, and then went to the Starwood. So we go in the Starwood just like normal, smoke cigarettes, before you get into the dance area. And there's a mosh pit. Yes, folks, Sean went into mosh pits. I would basically throw myself in there. I wouldn't get pushed in. I would go voluntarily into mosh pits. I didn't last very long, but I would basically let myself get knocked around, because I was little, like a coat hanger throwing it around, and then I'd get basically spit out of the mosh pit. So one of these evenings I was with my girlfriend and our two best friends, and we're there, and there's a band called the Butthole Surfers. I don't know what your name is, but the lead singer of the Butthole Surfers. And I'm 14, my girlfriend's 14, my best friends are 14. We're in the Starwood, and this guy from the Butthole Surfers, he's like big, like built like a football player, like a linebacker, blonde kind of surfer hair, I guess Butthole Surfers, whatever. And he's let's just say, I don't want to like, he's probably still alive, but he was getting way friggin' too cozy with a 14-year-old who was my girlfriend. So I'm skinny little 14-year-old. What the hell am I going to do with this butthole surfer guy, if linebacker? So all I could do is just sort of wedge myself in and like not get chatty, but like just say random stuff and like redirect, Mr. Butthole Surfer person, and then get my girlfriend not out because we were already in there. Somebody was playing. I'll miss the Suburban Lawns. Where I got actually Suburban Lawns, I got in the mosh pit and I got a black eye at a Suburban Lawns concert. I loved the Suburban Lawns. I was like devotee. But when I went home, I had to put a bag of frozen peas on my eye because I got threw myself in the mosh pit and I got elbowed in the face and got a black eye and went home and put peas on it. So, but I still went back. Man, I love the Starwood. So anyway, I want to keep this not going on forever, but I don't know. I covered, I mean, those are really all the clubs. I mean, I covered really anywhere you would go in 81. Everything from Grace Jones at the Hollywood Palladium all the way to Al's Bar downtown. I can't think of any other place to go in 81 that I didn't go, and that's basically the list, unless it was an after hours club. Then it was an after hours club. That was a whole different scene. Sean, 14, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. Oh, I forgot, too. I'll wrap it up with this. The Whiskey A Go-Go, of course, a classic. We all have heard the Whiskey A Go-Go. Yes, I told a story when I went to a punk concert there. It was funny a few episodes ago. But the whiskey was the whiskey. Again, the interior was, at that time, recovering from like its heyday in the 60s, where they had go-go, girls in cages and whatever all over, and, very, very chic, rock chic. I've seen plenty of pictures. Well, I went there again in 1980, actually, and I saw the motels. I've since seen X there. I saw X in like 3 places. X was like, I had a weakness for X. I know. But yeah, so that was a whiskey. And by 81, the whiskey kind of, again, I didn't feel run down, but these places kind of felt a little abandoned. Like, not the Starwood, because that had major acts and stuff, but even the whiskey the whiskey's always crammed with like unknown acts. Always it irritated the hell out of me. But then you'd have the Pretenders, or you'd have, whatever. And I was there. So anyway, God, I missed that time. Oh, one last thing really quick is talking about clubs at that time. If you back up like a few years from 81, you got a place that would lasted for a while called the Speakeasy. The Speakeasy was right in West Hollywood, and it was a discotheque. Like literally, I mean, major discotheque. And you go there, and literally, you guys, like Saturday Night Fever, like the dance floor was all different color squares that you were dancing on that flashed. We, for some reason, had the wrap party for the movie Fun with Dick and Jane that I co-starred as the son in with Jane Fonda, George Segal, at the Speakeasy. I have no idea why, but I remember it because I was like disco dancing, like 78 or whatever it was. Like I was like disco king. It was in heaven. Then I went back like when I was 16 or something with my friends, and it was an exclusively African American, almost kind of disco-ish R&B kind of place, with this now steel door that they like clunked open once you paid to get in. And me and my friends again would go anywhere, do anything with any kind of person, culture, anything, if there was music and a crowd. So yeah, we went in there later in 16, and it was a different scene, but I still had fun just like everyone else everywhere else. So I'll let you go. We're probably like way over. I try to keep these things under 15. I'm sure I'm at 20, but I want to say really quickly today, thank you to everybody. Not that you're doing this for me, but we hit 100,000 views today. And I just want to thank you. Like I always say, I adore you guys for putting up with me every night. This is my outlet. This is the highlight of my day, and you're there to share it with me. So I appreciate it 100,000 times over, okay? Let's make it 250,000 by Christmas. Okay, you guys, love you. I'll talk to you later. Soon enough. Bye.